The sun hung lazily in the sky, casting a golden hue across the quiet suburban neighborhood. Mrs. Evelyn Johnson, a 70-year-old retired schoolteacher, hummed softly to herself as her old gray sedan rolled down Maplewood Avenue. Her silver hair glimmered under her Sunday hat, and the gospel song playing faintly from her radio reminded her of peace after years of struggle. But peace is fragile, and sometimes it shatters in a single moment. A blaring siren pierced through the calm afternoon. Evelyn's heart skipped. She looked in the rearview mirror and saw flashing red and blue lights. Her first thought wasn't guilt or worry. She had done nothing wrong, but fear. Fear born not from wrongdoing, but from history. She pulled to the side carefully, hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel. The police cruiser stopped behind her, and a tall, white officer stepped out. His posture was proud, too proud, and his mirrored sunglasses reflected nothing but authority without empathy. The name tag on his chest read Harris. "License and registration," Officer Harris barked, his voice cutting through the air before Evelyn could even greet him. She rolled her window down halfway, her frail hands shaking. "Yes, officer," she said gently. "Just a moment, please. My purse is on the seat." "Now, lady," he snapped. "Don't play games with me. License, registration, step on it." She flinched at the harsh tone. "I'm trying, officer." "My hands don't move as fast as they used to," she said softly. Harris leaned closer, his shadow falling over her like a storm cloud. "You people always have an excuse," he said. "Step out of the car." Her stomach sank. "Excuse me." "You heard me." "Step out." Evelyn slowly unbuckled her seatbelt and stepped out, clutching the edge of the door to steady herself. Her knees ached from arthritis, but she did as told. She had taught children her entire life to obey authority and stay respectful, even when it wasn't returned. Officer Harris snatched her purse off the passenger seat, tossing it roughly onto the hood. "Let's see what you got here," he muttered, rummaging through it like a thief. "Please, sir, that's not necessary," she said, her voice trembling. "I haven't done anything wrong." He turned to her, jaw tightening. "Are you telling me how to do my job?" "No, sir," she said quickly, lowering her gaze. "I'm just asking." Slap! The sound cracked through the air. The old woman stumbled backward, clutching her face. Her glasses fell and cracked on the pavement. The sting burned not only her cheek but her spirit. Why would you hit me?" she gasped. Officer Harris looked down at her, his expression unbothered. "Because you people never learn respect," he said coldly. Across the street, a young neighbor froze, phone in hand, secretly recording everything. The moment, ugly, brutal, and senseless, was captured for the world to see. Hours later, Evelyn sat in her modest living room, a bag of frozen peas pressed against her swollen face. The soft ticking of the clock on the wall was the only sound that filled the silence. Her son, Marcus Johnson, walked through the door, suitcase still in hand. He had just returned from a counterterrorism assignment with the FBI, unaware of the storm awaiting him. The moment he saw his mother's face, he froze. "Mom, what happened?" She looked up at him, eyes watery. "It's nothing, Marcus. Just, an officer thought I wasn't obeying fast enough." "An officer did that?" he said, voice trembling with rage. "To you?" She tried to smile. "Don't get yourself in trouble, son. You've worked too hard for your career." Marcus dropped his suitcase and knelt before her. "Mom, I swore an oath to uphold justice. For everyone. That man assaulted an elderly woman. He assaulted my mother." She sighed. "I just want peace, Marcus." He looked at her for a long moment, his jaw clenched. "Peace without justice isn't peace," he said quietly. "It's surrender." He stood up, straightened his tie, and pulled out his FBI badge. "Tomorrow morning, I'm not just your son. I'm your advocate." By the next day, the video had spread like wildfire online. "Racist cop slaps elderly black woman for no reason." Headlines screamed across social media. Civil rights groups demanded justice. The small suburban police department scrambled for damage control. Officer Harris, however, remained defiant. "She resisted," he told his superiors. "I followed procedure, but the footage told a different story, one of abuse, prejudice, and arrogance." The public outcry grew, and soon the district attorney announced that Officer Harris would stand trial for assault and misconduct. Mrs. Johnson was called to testify, and Marcus, though not on the case officially, made a quiet vow. He would be there every step of the way. The courtroom was packed. Reporters filled the benches. Cameras lined the walls, and the air was thick with anticipation. Mrs. Johnson sat at the witness stand, her hands trembling slightly as she held her Bible. Her face was calm, but her eyes revealed the quiet strength of someone who had endured injustice before and survived. Across from her sat Officer Harris, his confident smirk returning now that he was in uniform again. His lawyer leaned in, whispering strategy. To them, she was just another case, another name. Then the courtroom doors opened, Marcus Johnson entered, wearing his dark suit and FBI badge at his belt. The murmurs began instantly. Is that her son? He's FBI. What's he doing here? Even the judge looked surprised. Agent Johnson, are you here in an official capacity? Marcus stepped forward. No, Your Honor. I'm here as a son, and as a citizen who believes no one is above the law. A hush fell over the room. The defense attorney smirked. With all due respect, Agent Johnson, this court doesn't need emotional speeches. Marcus turned to him. No, sir. It needs the truth. He walked to the evidence table and held up a printed still frame from the video, the moment Harris's hand struck his mother's face. This is not law enforcement, Marcus said, voice firm but calm. This is humiliation. This is cruelty. My mother was a schoolteacher for 40 years. She taught children of every race, even the ones who grew up to wear badges like yours, Officer Harris. She taught them respect, yet she was treated like she didn't belong in her own neighborhood. The jury watched in silence. Even the judge's expression softened. Marcus continued, his voice steady. I enforce laws every day. I deal with dangerous criminals. But I never forget that justice without humanity is tyranny. My mother wasn't dangerous. She wasn't resisting. She was elderly, cooperative, and respectful, and she was still assaulted. He turned to his mother, his tone softening. She deserves better. Every mother does. Officer Harris's once proud posture crumbled. His lawyer whispered frantically, but the damage was done. The world had already seen what kind of man he was. After hours of deliberation, the jury returned. The foreman stood. Your Honor, we find the defendant, Officer James Harris, guilty of assault and misconduct under color of authority. A wave of emotion swept through the courtroom. Evelyn closed her eyes, whispering a prayer. Marcus reached over and held her hand. The judge turned to Harris. Officer Harris, your behavior dishonors your badge and the oath you swore to protect your community. You are hereby stripped of your position and sentenced accordingly. Harris hung his head. For the first time, the man who believed he was untouchable finally felt powerless. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed as Marcus and Evelyn emerged together. Reporters surrounded them instantly. Agent Johnson, what message do you want to send to the public? One asked. Marcus looked into the cameras. My mother's story isn't just hers. It's the story of every person who's ever been disrespected, silenced, or dehumanized. Justice isn't real until it protects everyone, not just the privileged. Another reporter asked, do you forgive the officer? Evelyn smiled gently. I forgive him, she said softly. But forgiveness doesn't erase responsibility. Respect must be taught, not demanded. The reporters went silent. Her grace was louder than any anger. That night, Marcus sat on the porch with his mother. The stars were bright, the same ones that had guided generations before them. The world outside buzzed with headlines and debates, but here, there was peace. Mom, Marcus said quietly, I wish I could have protected you sooner. She smiled. You did, Marcus. Not with your badge, but with your heart. He nodded, his throat tight. I just can't believe he hit you. Evelyn looked out into the distance. Son, I've lived long enough to know that hate is blind. But love opens eyes. What you did in that courtroom opened more than just theirs. He placed his hand over hers. You raised me to fight for what's right. I just followed your example. She chuckled softly. Then maybe I did something right after all. The crickets chirped. The air was still. Justice for once had been served, not just in the courtroom, but in the hearts of those who witnessed it. Weeks later, a letter arrived at Mrs. Johnson's door. It was from the police department's new chief. Inside was an apology, formal but heartfelt, and an invitation to speak at their upcoming diversity and ethics seminar. She hesitated at first, but then agreed. On the day of the event, she stood before a room full of young recruits, her voice calm and wise. When you put on that badge, she told them, remember that authority isn't power, it's trust. Use it with compassion, or you'll lose both. The recruits listened in silence. Some took notes. Some simply watched the woman who had survived hate and turned it into a lesson of grace. When she returned home that evening, Marcus was waiting at the table with dinner ready. Speech go well? He asked. She smiled. Yes. I think a few hearts opened today. He nodded. Then that's the best kind of justice. Prejudice blinds justice, but truth opens eyes. Power without empathy is corruption. And when love stands firm in the face of hate, justice always finds its way home. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.